Alright, so in this lesson we're going to be talking about then the mouse and touchpad. So there's two pictures here on the right. On the left, meaning the first picture, is a touchpad, and those you will find essentially on laptops. You will really never find them on a desktop. Desktops are going to have their own mouses that look like the one on the right, and I'm going to explain each one to you and how to use it, and so that way essentially it's going to be really easy for you to use it when you go to use it. So let's first start with the picture on the left here, which is the touchpad, again found on laptops. So with these, you're going to have essentially two buttons that you can click, and also by tapping the top of the touchpad. And by the way, the touchpad is essentially this like rectangle right here. So that is the touchpad. And essentially you're going to have one button here that's going to be called your left click, or in this case for the mouse here on the right, it's the left mouse button. So you'd also press down on this and essentially give you a click. That's why it's called a click. And then over here too, if you were to actually press this part of the touchpad down, you would also hear a click too. And there's also even one, so about halfway in the middle here, there's then a right click, or a right mouse button. So each of those do different things. So the one on the left is essentially one that will, if you click it, and whatever your mouse is currently hovered over, so if it's essentially like a website you're going to, if you hover over that, maybe it's an icon, or perhaps maybe it's some type of link or something of that sort to go into some type of other, say, website for an example. If you click that and you click it by pressing the left mouse button, essentially that's how you'd move forward using the computer, or to continue forward of where you want to go. And then the right mouse button, that is going to typically bring up some different options for you. So it could be to copy something, to paste something. So if you were to highlight some text for an example and you press the right mouse button, and if, as long as you're hovering over the highlighted text, you would actually be able to say copy that text, and it'd be giving you a lot of different other options to do with it. So almost think of like at times can be used to customize certain things. When I say customize, meaning like you can do certain things to whatever you've highlighted, typically most commonly used for probably copying, or it's something that's called cutting or cut, which is where essentially you press that cut button and it removes whatever you highlighted from the current screen, but you've also saved it, where that essentially then you can actually then go paste it wherever you want. And if you're a little not sure of what those terms are and whatnot, don't worry, we're going to be talking more into depth about things of that sort in the course. And again, not trying to confuse you or anything, but essentially that's just some of the basic terminology. Then essentially then what we have here on the right too is what we have here is a scroll wheel. Not all mouses have this, but most do. And when it comes to the touchpad itself, you will not see a scroll wheel. So keep that in mind. It's not a big deal. It's actually really easy to use both once you get the hang of it. And also, one of the last things I want to mention here as well is when it comes to then moving around, you actually use your finger on the touchpad, and you kind of keep swiping up. So you can do that if you want to go up, or the same thing but going down. It's like wherever your finger goes, and you usually start I usually use my pointer finger like they do, start in the middle, and then wherever you want to go, you just direct your mouse to it. So I'm moving around here, and hopefully that's not distracting you or anything, but here, I'm just trying to show you like that's how that works. And then on the right, when it comes to using the traditional mouse that you would see on a desktop, essentially you would put your whole hand over the mouse, where essentially your thumb goes right here and your pointer finger goes here, and then your middle finger typically then would go on the right mouse button here, and then the rest of your fingers on the side. That's usually how that's done. Otherwise, I've seen people do it where if you're working really quickly, you might just have maybe just your pointer finger on like the left mouse button. So that is then how that works. So when it comes to, again, using this, I think it's one of those things that it's best just to learn it yourself, in the sense of like experiment, like try it yourself, see what the buttons do. For the most part, there's not really anything you can do wrong per se. Everything is, fixable in the sense of when it comes to, if you accidentally, say for an example, delete something like in a Word document or something, you can always then click another button, to basically the backspace button, to get that back. But regardless here, it's best just to get experience under your belt in using this, but hopefully this is able to give you some better understanding of what exactly the buttons are and also what they do. And again, the best way to see it in action is just to try it yourself. Now, with that said, I have a lot more to teach you in this course, and I'm really excited to get going on the next lessons. And if you do have any questions at all, always feel free to ask. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.